Okay, so now we have another algebraic fraction that we need to simplify, and in this case it's actually asking us to solve it, and we've got an inequality in here which we can kind of pretend is like an equal sign for now. So the first thing I'm going to think about doing is trying to deal with the fact that I've got fractions, which is not always fun. And there's a few ways to solve this problem, so I might demonstrate both so you can pick and choose which one you like. The first method might be to look at just the left-hand side of the equation and try to think about making a common denominator. So in that case, I've got a 5 and a 3, so I might do a little cross multiplication and turn a common denominator there of 15. So to do that, I'm going to go 5x on one side, and I'm going to times 3 to this side over here. So timesing 5 to that one and timesing 3 here with brackets. So that's going to become 9x minus 6. Now all of that is over 15, and I am less than or equal to 4x over 3. So I'm going to leave that right-hand side of the equation alone for now. And again, the reason here that I can actually just time the 5 and the 3 is because technically what I'm really doing is doing 5 over 5 and 3 over 3, which is the same as 1, so I haven't really changed anything, I've just changed the way it looks. Okay, so again, expanding through this negative, we're going to have 5x minus 9x plus 6 all over 15 is less than or equal to 4x over 3. Simplifying the like terms, we get minus 4x plus 6 over 15 less than or equal to 4x over 3. Okay, so now I have a single entity, just one fraction on the left-hand side and one fraction on the right-hand side. And I want to solve for x, so I need to get x's by themselves. But the easiest way to help deal with this would be to get rid of the fractions on bottom. And one way to think about doing that could be to possibly times the 15 here to the other side. This says that all this stuff on top divided by 15 would be equal to everything over there. So if I times both sides by 15, just by 15, not 15 over 15, just by 15, these two will cancel, and I will now have minus 4x plus 6 is less than or equal to 4x times 15 over 3. Now we can do it like this and then consider simplifying what's 15 divided by 3. That becomes 5, and then 5 times 4 would be 20x. So that's one way to look at it. But I'm guessing a lot of you would probably have thought to do this, which is 4 times 15 is 60x over 3, which is just fine. And I can think about doing the same thing, timesing both sides by 3 to move 3 to the other side, but if I actually pay attention to this fraction here, 60 divided by 3, I can simplify that already. 60 divided by 3 just becomes 20x, which is what we would have had with the other thought as well. So if I write this out, I now have no fractions, and I just need to think about getting x's to one side and numbers to the other. So I might consider taking the 20x to the other side of the equation, so I need to change its sign. That's plus 20x, so it's going to become minus 20x is less than or equal to taking the positive 6 to the other side, turns it to a negative. So I have negative 24x less than or equal to negative 6. And if we take a look at this again, that's negative 24 times x less than or equal to 6. So I need to divide by 24 on both sides and put that up here so we don't run out of room. So that's going to be x is less than or equal to negative 6 divided by 24. Now we have to stop here because there's something that happened. I divided by a negative, which means that I need to flip the direction of this sign. So with an inequality, if you times or divide by a negative to the other side, we have to actually swap the direction of that. So we can continue to simplify now. X is now greater than or equal to, well, the negative divided by a negative becomes a positive, and 6 and 24 can simplify to 1/4. So that is our answer. X in this case is going to be greater than or equal to 1/4. Now, a second solution for us, if you want to think about an alternative way of solving this problem, could be to take the original one x over 3 minus 3x minus 2 all over 5 is less than or equal to 4x over 3. Now, kind of like I did in this step over here where I times the 15 to both things, to everything on both sides of the equation, and allowed it to cancel, I could do the same step here if I felt like it. So in this case, I notice that there's a 3 on bottom, so if I times every single term in this equation by 3, I can actually cancel where the 3's are in the same place, top and bottom. And now to get rid of the 5, I can do the same thing, times every term by 5. And where the 5 is above a 5, I can cancel those. So if we look at what hasn't been cancelled off and times out, we're going to have 5x minus 9x minus 2. Keep the brackets on there because of the minus sign in front. Sorry, it's not minus 2, it's minus 6. And then on this side, we've got less than or equal to 20x. Now we can expand out this bracket. 5x minus 9x plus 6 is less than or equal to 20x. Combining like terms is going to be minus 4 plus 6 less than or equal to 20x. And again, we look about subtracting from one side to the other, and this is the exact same equation that we had over here. So just to show you an alternate way to look at this, we might actually do it the other way. What if I take the x's to the right-hand side? So if this is a minus 4x, I can plus it to the other side. So I'll leave the 6 here, leave it pointing in that direction, and say 20x plus 4x. Simplifying our like terms, 24x. And to get x by itself, that's 24 times x, so I'm going to divide it. 6 divided by 24, less than or equal to x. And you notice I did not have to flip the direction of this inequality because 24 in this case was positive. But let's compare our answers. We'll simplify first. That's 1/4 less than or equal to x. So we're pointing in slightly different directions, but this is saying that x has to be bigger than 1/4 or equal to it. And this one is also, in fact, saying that x has to be bigger than 1/4 or equal to it. So no matter which way you get to your solution, both of these are correct. Whatever is more understandable for you, go for it. And just be careful to do it step by step, and you should be fine. And let's look at one more example for us here with a similar type of problem. So slightly more basic problem because I only have one fraction to deal with. So I can use that idea of if I times both sides by what's on the bottom, so I'll times by 5 and times by 5, where a 5 is over a 5, those will cancel, so I end up with 3 minus 4x less than 10. And now I can just rearrange. Taking the 3 to the other side, I have minus 4x less than or equal to 10 minus 3. Positive 3 becomes a minus 3 on the other side. Minus 4x less than 7. And in our last step, we're going to divide, but we divided by a negative, so what do we have to do? We have to flip the direction again. So this one, in fact, is now going to point in that direction, and we say x is greater than 7 over negative 4. And that's okay, but by convention we usually write the negative on top or in front.